out there, this is Kryptonite Dragon, joined by Dante Zero. This is the Pod Station's special broadcast of the Xbox announcement, and we'll just jump right in. We'll get started. There's not too much else to announce or anything like that, and I'm really excited to get going on this one because I have a lot to say.
Yeah, I've got the funny feeling that for once I'm actually going to be the devil's advocate on this and sort of, try and be positive on this as and where I can. But boy,
yeah, I don't even know where to begin. Yes, first off, let me say, I had tremendous trouble today. Xbox.com was down. It showed unavailable for hours for me. Other sites that were supposedly streaming, I had a gray box. I was literally just able to watch it over the last hour. Trying for several hours today with everything off, trying to just get on internet browser. Ridiculous. I don't know what the heck was going on with that, but Xbox.com was actually down for me.
Where did you actually end up watching? Was it Forbes or something?
Yeah, I actually ended up watching it on Forbes. I finally found a site that was broadcasting it, and every time I paused it and I'd restart, it would shoot to the end of the video. I was like, oh my god!
What?
So I couldn't pause and take notes or anything. It was absolutely terrible just trying to watch the video of this.
Yeah, but in fairness, though, I had lots of trouble with the trying to watch the PS4 one on Ustream, and everybody was like, "Oh my god, you have to watch this video," and I'm like, "I'm trying to, but I'm having problems," and so it swings in roundabouts.
Yeah, I think it was too popular for Xbox.com, probably their servers to handle the connections.
I was just gonna make a flippant comment, but then I realised we did a fanboys show, and that probably wouldn't be the best to do it. I was gonna say it's everybody turning off their Xboxes, which is the problem.
Yeah, let's jump right in. Xbox One, OMFG.
Well, let's start with the name more than anything.
That's what I'm saying. It was codenamed Durango. It couldn't be the Xbox Durango. Couldn't be the Xbox 3. It's the Xbox One. I don't get it.
No, I've got to be honest, I don't get it either. I mean, we saw the rumoured names prior to the actual official announcement today, and I would have been okay if they just called it Xbox. But, Xbox One causes a lot of... It's not... I don't know, it loses its continuity a bit, because then you've got the Xbox 360 and now the Xbox One.
Right.
And which indicates it's the first console, when actually there's already been another two, so, why not Xbox 3 or something like that? I don't know, it just doesn't...
Well, even the Xbox Infinity, I mean, wasn't that a good idea? I mean, 360 is a circle. You put two circles together, you get that figure 8, you get like two circles, which indicates the infinity symbol.
The ironic thing is, if you turn an infinity symbol on its side, like horizontal, it's an 8.
Yeah, it's an 8. Xbox 8.
Would fit
anything.
In with
I don't know.
Windows
8, yeah.
It would fit in with Windows 8, which is shocking that nobody had the thought process to come up with that. I mean, we've just discussed it in 2 minutes flat, and we've already come up with a better idea and a better naming than Xbox.
Of course, they would move on to Xbox. I mean, they would move on to Windows 9 and 10 and all that probably over the life cycle of this. But, I mean, still, you don't give it a name, you just go back to one. I mean, I get the whole idea of one thing for everything, which we'll talk about in a minute because, but, seriously? Xbox One.
I just don't feel the name at all. It's like...
They should name the PS4 the PS Zero. It'd be like an ongoing joke.
Well, actually, if you think about it, Sony have kind of kept their sense a little bit with the numbers, because, if they really want to reboot the whole genre in a couple of consoles time, they can just go back to the PlayStation.
Yeah. Well, there's so many possible names out there that they could have used. Nextbox was another one that's always been floating around. The Nextbox.
I think the Xbox would have worked fine.
Or even just X1 or something like that. If they wanted to go back to one and just get away from the term Xbox and just say the X1 or something. I mean, you can. There's so many things that could have kind of come out of it, and I think that's just absolutely confusing name. It doesn't really seem to relate to anything of importance that a gamer's going to take and go, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't know if I have too many good things to say today. I can say, right from the beginning of this, I was kind of like, okay, is there anything about gamers? Because that's really where this seemed to me to be. They're trying to integrate all these things. It's like other devices and, the smart glass and Skype and, all these connections with your TV. And really, what are we talking about there? Is that video games? Does that have anything to do with video games? Is this a TV entertainment hub? I was pretty shocked.
Well, I mean,
it takes a lot to shock me, but I was pretty shocked.
Here's the thing with it. I mean, and this is something I saw quite apparent over, Twitter and the social networks was that, everybody sat there going, well, we want to see games. It's not that anybody had anything against the TV service. It's the fact they talked about it and talked about it and talked about it and talked about it.
Well, they led with that. They led with the first 30, 40 minutes was all TV related.
I would say more than that. At least, out of that 1 hour press conference, at least 50 minutes of that has got to have been TV related stuff.
Yeah, it sure feels like it.
It's bizarre.
And let's get at the heart of this now. They're talking to it. Wow, is that old tech or is that, who cares? You have to, on my TV setup right now, I have so many things connected in. I've got a DVR box for cable. I have to switch between stuff to turn, to get the inputs. And, who's going to be able to hook up their TV through all that when most people have a cable box in their world. And then, we're talking about the United States here. We're talking about DVRs are very popular. It's a digital video recorder where you go to your favorite show, and it's all great to say, hey, show me my favorites. But then if you're going to record it, you need to go to a DVR. You have to switch to a totally new device. You have to typically switch the input, which means a controller. You can't record local shows with the Xbox. I mean, it didn't say, like, go to my local thing, record the show. There wasn't anything for that.
Yeah, they did. They talked a lot about on-demand TV in terms of being able to sort of switch channels, live TV channels and stuff. But they didn't really go into the whole. You could see what other people were watching on demand, but what about stuff that you actually want to record?
Yeah, and then Skype video calls. That's all fine and great. I mean, who wants to? I mean, I don't want to Skype video call all the time. I'd love to do voice and Skype calls and stuff. Fantasy sports are important to a lot of people, and ESPN and all that, the stats on the side, that's fantastic.
I want to come.
How does this work in Europe? How does this work around the world?
I want to come back to that whole EA thing, and we'll get to that a little bit later, because that, for me, was also quite a negative point from EA's perspective as well. So,
well, how does your cable and stuff work around the world? How does it work in the UK for you now? Is that something that would seamlessly work with this?
We just have a cable set-top box, so and it just plugs into the telly, and it's most of the cable companies these days, or satellite TV companies have like a hard drive built into the box.
Okay.
So it's like a set-top box stroke PVR all in one.
Okay.
So, but here's, I don't grasp it. I mean, I can't understand what Microsoft are aiming for there. Are they aiming to appease gamers that really want that kind of interface, or are they trying to go after an industry where, are they trying to break into the TV side of things and make it a case of when you subscribe to Sky or Virgin or whatever it is in the US, Comcast and all that, are they trying to get it so that Comcast supplies one of their consoles as the actual box? I don't understand that.
I know, I'm lost on it, and they talked a lot about operating systems and having kind of integrating.
That kind of made sense.
Yeah, and but the other thing to me is like, aren't operating systems something that consistently now is updated via the internet, and so I don't know that I get it. I mean, I don't know if they're trying to fit like their round peg in the square hole kind of thing, and try to fit it for everything when we're talking about a gaming console first and foremost, and at least we should be. And it's just seems like their whole focus is entertainment hub driven. The interfaces are controller, connect, smart glass, speech.
Yeah, I mean,
It's all confusing. It's like so many different directions related to controlling your entertainment, which is
in some respects, Sony aren't, Microsoft aren't necessarily guilty of, looking at the whole integrating your device in, because that's Sony have said that, but at the same time, I mean, Sony being smart about it by saying, well, there's an app there if you want to do it, but you don't have to. You know what I mean? It's not gonna detract from your experience. Whereas Microsoft is sort of saying it's integral to your experience. And we've had this discussion before. Like, yeah, the home. The new living room has lots of devices in it per person, but do you want to get your tablet out to control your Xbox, to control your TV and stuff? I think many people don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've just lost the plot with it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean that was my thought as I'm sitting there and he's like Skyping his friend, and then you're kind of like,
I can understand things like mobile phone integration. That's one of the things that's got me excited for the PS4. Being able to be, say, on a bus or a train. Reading the PlayStation blog to see what's on the store that week.
Yeah.
Going, great, I'll go onto the web. I'll fire up the PlayStation 4 app. I'll purchase that. I'll download it. By the time I get home, it's there.
But isn't that kind of like all internet-connected devices should have that functionality, and they should put apps on there, and they shouldn't try to make the console everything?
I guess the point I'm trying to make is that it's great when you're out and about, but say, like I say, in that example, you're on a train, you see something come up on the PlayStation Store, on one of the websites, you go onto the PlayStation app, you buy it, it starts downloading for when you get home. You immediately, when you get home, you put your phone on charge and you go and play your games console. And it doesn't need to go any further than that.
Yeah.
You don't need to pick up your mobile phone to then start controlling your content on your console. It's bizarre. It really is, and I'm scratching my head because I just all through this entire hour-long press conference, it's given us about 3 years worth of content that we could just talk about non-stop and still feel like we're all confused and flabbergasted about what direction Microsoft actually want to go. Me personally, I was so disappointed because I make no bones about the fact that I prefer Sony's hardware. I'm invested in Sony's ecosystem, but at the same time, we've talked about this before, where it's important for the big boys to have this air of competition, and to really push innovation. And from what I've seen of Microsoft today, it's like 2 steps backwards.
Yeah, they made a left turn at the corner. I don't know what to say about it. It's there. I see some really good things in there. I mean, I could see if you're really into like fantasy sports and ESPN, how that part could be really good to have your stats and stuff kind of doing that, and I just.
Well, let's address this because I want to talk about the EA exclusivity content as well, which bugs the crap out of me.
Yeah.
I kind of get it with exclusive games, and I get it with multi-platform games, like the Call of Duties, they fight over the content, Sony will get exclusive Battlefield content, Microsoft gets the extra 360 content. That's all well and good. But with sports, you're really, really walking a thin line there, because what you're essentially saying is to get the best experience, you have to buy one console over another, and that's going to annoy the crap out of sports fans, because at the end of the day, should it matter what console they've got, they should be able to get the premium service from the thing. And the fact that leagues like the NFL are signing up to exclusivity deals for actual interactive content while watching a game is bizarre.
Yeah. I mean, the
You
fantasy
want that
sports
on
thing,
all platforms at once.
it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Way to
Which
segment people up, is really what we're talking about here. It's segmenting people up, and I don't know. Maybe it's more. Maybe it is driven towards, like you're talking about. They're trying to break into other areas that maybe it will become something with Time Warner, Comcast. Here's your DVR box. Maybe it'll turn into that. Maybe it's geared towards that direction. I don't understand. How it's helping gamers.
But the danger is the more direction it goes to that, the lesser it becomes about the games.
Yeah.
And that's essentially why we do what we do, and love what we do, because it's all about the games at the end of the day.
So we think what Xbox One DVR Entertainment Hub should be the actual name of the next. Do you guys call them DVRs? Is that what you guys have over there?
PVRs.
PVRs.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Pretty much same thing, right?
Yeah.
Can record television.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Weird.
It's such, and EA just did themselves. When up to a couple of weeks ago, obviously Riccatello left. Everybody was positive about the direction EA was taking. They came out and said they're going to get rid of online passes, and EA's popularity is proved. And I can tell you now, they're probably just about pissed off about 10 million purchases of FIFA.
Well, they've done it before.
Exclusive Ultimate Team content on Xbox One, sorry. And I'm sat there thinking, EA sells most of its sports games on on a PlayStation platform. That's a fact. So, especially when it comes to a multi-platform sports game, again, you're alienating the audience because they just bought a different version on a better, on what they feel is better console for them. And I just...
Well, I think this goes back to their politics. This goes back to their politics where, just like you were saying before about, Call of Duty exclusivity, with the DLC, exclusive early release, having Activision kind of in their pocket with that. This is along the same lines. It's like, let's get with them. Let's get this agreement in place, because they had to have done it before developing it. They couldn't have done it in the other order. Do you know what I'm saying? They couldn't have said, hey, let's make it so it works like this, and then we'll go, see if EA wants to bite. They it's a Microsoft tactic, I think, to kind of muscle out the competition. They're largely been, a provider of computer operating systems, and you can't buy a computer without getting those. You have to buy a Mac. So they're pretty exclusive in terms of that. It's a monopoly. Let's call it what it is. And this sparks the same kind of mentality. I think that they're trying to corner the market with a few game developers, a few big game developers.
Yeah. And, I am pretty cross with the fact that Microsoft really had a chance to turn around some of the questionable business practices they've done.
Well, they don't really owe anything to anyone else. They have to get it working the best they can on their system. They don't need to say, well, we have to worry about alienating EA Sports fans.
EA have to worry about.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's an EA problem more than anything.
But that mentality is brought down from Microsoft. And it's something that's been apparent this generation. It's obviously going to carry on to the next generation.
Yeah.
Let's throw $50 million at a company and secure all the exclusive content that we can. And I think while they have got away with it this generation, I don't think they'll get away with it the coming generation. People are going to be looking at that, and it's going to be more apparent now than it ever was before. I think people aren't going to be as stupid and aren't going to buy into that whole mentality. I think people are going to realise, Microsoft really do have some questionable business practices when it comes to things like that.
Well, do you think E3, when E3 comes around and they start announcing some of these exclusives, do you think that's going to be a big deal for people?
Well, to be honest, I haven't thought that far ahead because
it seems very clear that's what they're aiming for. Is like, we've got all these exclusives and we'll be announcing at E3 and just get ready.
Well, we talked about this before. About we questioned why Microsoft would hold an event this close to E3.
Mm-hmm.
Here's where I'm at with it. Microsoft have done their announcement today. Obviously, it's not gone down well at all with neutrals, mutual fans. It's not gone down with fans of the Xbox 360. It's not gone down well with Sony fans who, could have been attracted to purchasing a new system with a different manufacturer. It's not gone down well at all. E3's in 2.5 weeks. Microsoft are going to show up there, and all the problems and negative things are going to carry over into that because 2.5 weeks is not going to be enough to turn around what they've just done today. I think, I don't know. Microsoft have got some positives. It seems they're investing in exclusives. They said that during the press conference. They said there's something like 15 exclusive by the end of the year, and 8 of those are brand new IPs and franchises. I'm curious about that actually, because I don't know if that's Microsoft developing them in-house and buying them in.
Yeah. Is it going to be a game changer?
Microsoft don't have 15 different studios to work on games.
Now, do you feel, as someone from the UK, do you think that this is, I'm really looking at it, is this a smack in the face with, like, this press conference and how it was geared towards TV, does this speak to people in Australia, in Greece, in Europe, anywhere in Europe, UK, Ireland?
No. No, and if what I've read some of the reaction to as well, what was it? We talked just before we come on air that at the moment the TV service for Xbox One is going to be only available in North America to start off with.
Right, that's what. Did they just, Americanize the Xbox?
Yeah, they've pretty much done that, and the other factor is it's going to require an extra add-on as well.
Hmm.
And, for the most part, we are going to be, it was one of the reasons that Play TV didn't sell very well here for the PlayStation 3 in Europe, because of this extra add-on bits and, subscription, but it just doesn't sell well.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I think TV in America is almost... I've always said we're moving towards the YouTube world and we're doing that kind of stuff and we're getting on-demand stream through the internet. A lot of people are getting rid of services with TV. I've done it. I at one point I was paying a couple $100 a month for all these pay channels and stuff like that. And here I realized one day it's like I don't even watch them. I'm paying as much as a console costs every month for these channels. And then, they're streamed. You can go to the show has a website and you can go watch it when you want to watch it and stream it through your television anyway and hook your computer up or stream it from your computer to your television and watch it that way. And so people are dropping their cable, they're cutting their bill, and now this is almost a system that says, hey, go back to paying that cable bill. It's another service that you're dependent upon to use it effectively, and then it doesn't even work with the standard DVR style. It's almost, it's almost
if
ridiculous.
We were talking about this 2 or 3 years ago, I think we could all sort of get on board with it. But we're talking about a day and age where entertainment isn't just changing, it's evolving, and it's not just evolving in terms of the content we actually watch, but it's evolving in terms of the way it's delivered. And with that, you've got to look at things like advertising mediums and stuff like that. TV networks have got to get money from somewhere to cover the cost of production of stuff. So they're looking at things like, streaming films free with, adverts in between, and people are responding fairly well to that. YouTube's just started doing paid subscription channels where you could do you pay 99p for a day or something like that. And it's like people at Xbox, R&D have just sort of completely ignored that.
Yeah, it's like cell phones. How many people have a home phone anymore? It's becoming a dinosaur. It's becoming, and then it would be like, well, the system works with, you plug it into your phone line at home. It's kind of that mentality. It's like, what are you talking about? I want so many other options, and I want...
It's like creating
do it through the internet with an app, for God's sake. Don't make it
it's
the
like
hub point of your system.
It's like creating a home phone stroke mobile phone hybrid, when really you don't need one because we've already evolved to the mobile phone. It's just... You don't need a stopgap in between just for the sake of it, and that's what it felt like a bit with that. It's kind of like, as you say, it's, they talk about forward thinking and innovation, and yet it's clear that they're lacking any of that at all.
I don't know. Let's come up with some good points. What's the most positive thing that you got out of this?
Games wise, what we did see was pretty okay.
Call of Duty Ghost.
Call of Duty Ghost stuff looks alright.
My son's flipping out about that one. Woohoo, that looks cool.
I question whether or not that's actually running on an Xbox One, or because they did say obviously it's running on the new Call of Duty graphics engine in real time. But that could have been a PS4 render, a high spec PC render. It didn't say it was running live on Xbox One.
Yep.
So I don't know. The question remains.
Well, I'm sure from the stats it'll look
that good.
It'll look that good. I bet I would think that it'll look good on all of those. It'll look good on the PS4. It'll look good on the Xbox One. God, it's hard to say that. You want to kick out 720 or 360. But
even with that, though, even though that the Call of Duty Ghost stuff was positive, even with that, it still came across as pretty stupid. Because the guy who was explaining it, I can't remember what his name was. It was like, yeah, we've now put AI in there. What? So all your previous Call of Duty games didn't have any AI in them at all?
Mm-hmm.
As he was selling it as if it was a new feature, and then he was saying stupid stuff like. What is it? If you come across a flock of fish or whatever,
yeah,
when you go past them, they'll move out the way.
Well, that's fantastic.
Well, that's what they're meant to do. Do you know what I mean? It's just, why would you say that? And it's not relevant. And could you not think of a better example? Do you know what I mean? It's, again, just
if you pull your phone up, you can actually communicate with them and train them to go make you a sandwich.
A sonic translator where you speak into your phone and it just like gives you sonar or something. I don't know. It's very odd, the language they used.
I noticed the 300,000 servers worldwide. I think that's pretty cool, and I hope that relates directly to the ability for their online connectivity to work really well. That's something I've always had kind of a little kink in my mind about how games are developed. They run on the game developers servers, or they work by connecting people together, which can be problematic. Can be difficult to play with people all over the world. 300,000 servers sounds like a lot. That was one of the positives I pulled out of there.
That's because it is a lot, and that's the kind of thing I would expect, someone like Google to be running, or, but does Xbox Live really need 300,000 servers?
I don't know. They must be expecting
Just,
pretty big
it
load.
just, that's what gets me with it. Again, you think it's a positive, and then you look at it, and you look at how much of today was such a fail that you kind of wonder if they actually got delusions of grandeur that they're actually going to be using 300,000 servers. Because I really can't see that happening. You know.
I don't know. Let's go through the stats.
Yeah.
What do you think of the design? First off, I'm being very honest here. I think it's ugly. I think the two color split. I'm like, what is that? Paint an X on it or something at least.
It's not even the color that gets me. I was talking to Squill when the conference was live streaming, and the first thing I said to him is, it looks like one of the very first Blu-ray players. When Blu-ray came out, it looks like one of those big old clunky Blu-ray players that used to cost like
$1,000,
$1,000, $2,000, and again, I was confused by it. I was kind of like, well, why would you style it on that? I'm not going to lie. The new 360 Slim is, a sexy bit of kit, and they've kind of thrown that out the window. Really.
Yeah. It looks. The Xbox 360 looks a million times better than that.
It does beg the question: in 2 or 3 years' time, are we going to get the Xbox One Super Slim? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't.
Of course, I'm still wondering.
Spectacular enough to, let's be genuinely honest here. If I went into a game store and saw that, in a demo cube, and I wanted to. I was thinking of picking up a next generation console, and I saw that looking back at me. I'd be a bit skeptical. It does look kind of big.
Looks like a DVR.
Well, see, I saw the feed on GameTrailers.com, and Jeff Keighley was talking to Don Matic afterwards, and the box looks bloody huge.
Yeah. But hey, it's got 5 billion transistors in there.
What was that even about?
I know. How does that help me?
Do you really care about 5
It
billion?
has 5 billion. How many
know
wires?
People thirst for knowledge in terms of the specs, but do we really need to go down to the minutest specs if it's got 5 billion transistors? It's bizarre, but yeah, no, it doesn't look particularly appealing. And the other thing that made me laugh, the new Xbox controller.
Yeah.
Right. Constantly, whenever they mention the controller, it's the new Xbox controller. It looks exactly the same as the bloody last one. All they've done is replace the D-pad on it.
Maybe there's some innovation inside of it. I don't know.
Well, I think they said they've got something to do with like rumble with the triggers, some haptic feedback and stuff. But where you pull the trigger.
Sounds like we lost you.
Would that warrant enough to get another controller?
I don't know. Wonder how many transistors it has inside of it.
Yeah, they need to give us that info. Let's email Microsoft. How many transistors are in your controller? But I don't know. It's just it's shocking that they can claim it's a new controller and you're not really do anything radical with it.
I don't know. Here's the stats that we're looking at, though. Let me run through those real quick. 8-core CPU, 8 gigabyte system memory, 500 gigabyte hard drive. I had to laugh about this. Blu-ray drive. I called it 802.11n wireless, which is obviously the standard right now, and an HDMI in and out, and the USB 3. Awesome. So.
Yeah. It's about the same as what we expected.
It's kind of just.
Well, I'm not too sure on the memory side of it because they say 8 gigabytes of. I think it's GDDR3.
instead of
and you know, when we looked at some of the rumours before the console came out, at least 3 gig of that was dedicated operating system memory.
Mm-hmm.
So that begs the question: how much memory is it using as a norm? And how much is operating system? Because when you looked at what Sony talked about, the way they've designed the architecture with that is that the RAM can be pretty much used for anything you want, because the operating system and some of the features that Sony mentioned are all contained on the chip of their own. It doesn't need to interact and resource all the memory. So that's going to be interesting to see what comes as a result of that. I'm surprised at 500 gig hard drive. I really am.
Well, they got Blu-rays now, so.
Well, I think the Blu-ray was given. I'm kind of interested in how much Sony are going to earn in terms of royalties for that.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that number. Every time you buy, you go buy the Xbox One and pay $400 for it, and $75 goes towards Sony or something.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if Sony said, we're not making a profit on PlayStation, but we're making a profit on Blu-ray? Thanks, Microsoft. But no, I just, again, you know, the stats became meh, sideshow, because, and again, I'll point back to this whole, you know, Microsoft leaving it too late. You know, we've seen these specs, and we've seen them done, if all honestly, we've seen them done and sold in a better way than Microsoft could have ever dreamed of. So when they release comparable stats, you know, and then not really show how they're utilising it, it's kind of a bit underwhelming, really.
Yeah.
But I am surprised on the memory. And here, people are probably scratching their heads going, why is he questioning a 500 gig hard drive? Because obviously there's PS3s with 500 gig hard drives.
Yeah, that's
and,
now.
500 gigs fine. But what we haven't considered, and, you know, these are some of the facts that came after the press conference, is that all games will require a mandatory install.
Mm-hmm.
So
eating up that space.
You go to a shop, you buy a game, it's on a Xbox Blu-ray disc, it's 40 gigs, hey presto, there goes 40 gigs of your hard drive. Whether you use the disc or not.
Yeah, plus, you know, all these other features, you know, if you're putting in these other systems to make everything work, you know, storing your information about your television viewing, and, you know, that's all got to go somewhere. So, I don't know. A lot of system stuff running there, and a lot of questions about that.
Well, look at it this way, right? You buy, let's say you buy 10 games that average around about 40 gig. 400 gig just gone.
Yep. And 100 gigs already used for something else with the thing, and
yeah.
You know, you go back to the same base model that they offer now, which has that flash memory, which you can't run anything. You can't run some of the bigger games. You can't do it without a drive. There's just no way. So.
And while we're talking about mandatory installs and games, we should also just point out for this, although, you know, Microsoft have slightly been backpedaling a little bit on this, and, you know, by pulling web pages and not clarifying answers with this. But some of the Q&A they did earlier suggested that if you purchase a pre-owned game, you will have to pay a fee to unlock that game for your system and installer. That's not good at all.
No, it's not.
That's really negative, because it's fine. So, you know, it bothers me that they think they can actually get away with that. Well, think about it. You know, GameStop's Game, Target, Best Buy, all these places sell pre-owned games.
Yes.
Right? If Microsoft are charging an extra fee, yeah, and we're not talking about an online pass here to access the multiplayer, which we've already discussed. You know, we can kind of see the point of developers doing that. But we're actually talking about the
console.
manufacturer cutting in on the cost.
Yeah, exactly. The
you
console.
know what I mean? And that just bothers me.
Put our hand in your pocket and something that shouldn't even be really, that's crazy.
I mean, if you want to borrow someone's game, you take it round your mates, you take it home from your mates, you stick it in and it goes, right, £5 to play it, please. That's not right. I can't understand. Can you understand? Or just
they are working closely with EA now.
Tell me I'm not going mad here when I just...
I don't know. I haven't really heard that discussion and everything like that. I guess we'll have to wait and see if that comes out, but...
that was actually on Microsoft's Q&A page. That's not...
Well, I'm not really shocked about anything now because I was really expecting Xbox Infinity. So I'm just whatever's been set up to this point, it's clearly all rumor and speculation anyway.
Regardless of name, I was actually expecting a games console to turn up.
Yeah.
Sorry, you knew that was coming.
I mean, and I don't want to sound like like some negative, like PlayStation fanboy or anything like that. It's the last thing I'm trying to do. I really legitimately, planned to be within the next year an Xbox owner, and I'm disappointed.